My name's Lachlan Stitt. I'm an amateur MMA fighter with a record of 3-1.
Yeah, look, it's hard as a coach. You just feel the pressure. You just want them to perform, you know what I mean? You want them to do well.
He's only going to keep getting better, and I can't wait to see what the future holds for him.
So ready to get back in there, get in there, do my thing,
get the exposure, and show everyone what I've been working on for the past, 15 years of my life. Started crying when I was like 6 years old.
What a way to come into your career. Holy shit.
But that video doesn't do it justice. The snap, they had the skill set, they had the mentality, they wanted to fight, and they were sacrificing a lot of things that teenagers that instead of going out with their mates, they'll come and train.
Yeah, and I don't think people know that about you, Lachlan, is that you didn't necessarily have the easiest ride to come into MMA. Bang! Welcome back to the #1 podcast in the world. I'm joined with Beast Championship welterweight title holder right now, Lachlan Stitt, and star of Bulfin Film documentary Fighting Demons, and of course, Coach Moey. He's lead coach at XXX Fight Academy. Thank you for joining me today, guys.
Not a problem. Good to be here.
It is an honor to have you guys here. And a true pleasure. I love talking to fighters. I love talking to you guys, and to have the coaching as well. I think really poses an interesting dynamic.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
So where to start with you two? Because you both have such extensive and interesting careers. You're about to make your pro debut.
Yep.
On Eternal.
Yep.
What's going through your head right now?
Just keen. Like when I signed the contract with Eternal, that was just a big step for my career, just for that exposure that Eternal brings. The platform that they have is unreal. The caliber of fighters they have on roster is unreal. That's what I want to do. I want to fight the best in Australia. I don't want to fight here and there on different shows and stuff. It's good to be on a promotion that can take me, to that level where I believe I am.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think for someone like you who is fighting at such a high caliber and I'd say knocking people out in just devastating fashion, and you're 5-1 right now. 4 of those have been just brutal stoppages.
Yeah, that's my style. That's what I'm not like. I don't go in there just to muck around. I'm in there to finish fights, in a violent way too.
Violent fashion. We love that.
Yeah,
we love that. And I think for someone like you who is so interested in competing with the best and being amongst the best, having that exposure and being put in promotions where you can do that as a professional, it's exactly where you need to be.
That's exactly where I want to be. This was the plan the whole time to get to this stage, and now big finishes, big fights, get the exposure and show everyone what I've been working on for the past, 15 years of my life. I started crying when I was like 6 years old, doing stuff like that, and the sacrifices that I made, especially in the last 5 years to get to this point. It's not easy on me. It's not easy on anyone. The amount of time that, people put into me is, seriously, you could never repay them for what they've done.
Yeah.
To get me to where I want to be. And it's all of us together. We've been there since day one. I've been at XXX since I started my, fighting career, and they've helped me through the whole way. Without them, there's no way I would be sitting here talking to you.
And so I assume Moey has been alongside the entire ride as well?
Yeah, I've known him since I was 16.
Mm-hmm. So, Moey, what's going through your head when you get fresh, babyface, 16, Lachlan, come into your gym and say, I want to be a fighter?
Look, it's not uncommon. I ran a gym prior to XXX, so I've been in the game for about 15 years myself and coached a lot of boys. And you do get a lot of young people that come through and say, I want to be a fighter. I want to fight. It's an easy thing to say, but sometimes until you get punched in the face, you don't realise how hard
it looks cool.
Of course it looks cool.
It looks so cool to say, I'm a fighter. I'm like Conor McGregor.
You can train a session and pretend to be a fighter and get the shit kicked out of you. But other than that, look, it's one thing. Look, with Lockie, particularly, there's, as coaches, and not just myself and some of the other coaches, there's little things that you can pick out on people. And, he's showed a really sort of interesting and dynamic skill set early on. You know what I mean? He was picking things up very quickly. And you watch this, but you don't sort of engage with it too much too quickly because they're still young. Like you were saying, he was 16, 17. Same with Horse or Kaleb Rideout that you had. He was only 16, 17. But with both boys, there's something, they're very unique and very different. But as they continue to train, they showed us small aspects and skill sets of things that we're like, these guys can go a long way if they're committed and they stay training. The hard thing about that age is keeping them there.
Yes, exactly.
It's not just seeing something, it's seeing if they commit. But both of them, by the time they sort of 17, 18, they showed us that they had the skill set, they had the mentality, they wanted to fight, and they were sacrificing a lot of things that teenagers have done. Instead of going out with their mates, they'll come in the train.
Yeah, and I don't think people know that about you, Lachlan, is that you didn't necessarily have the easiest ride to come into MMA. Like, you obviously moved from Queensland over to New South Wales, starting a whole new journey in that aspect.
Yeah.
So it wasn't just like you were cruising around and like, I'm going to become a fighter now.
No. When I because as I said before, I started karate when I was 6 years old, just because I had so much energy. My parents were like, "Oh, I'll put you in here, do something," and then like I used to just love fighting,
just to get you tired, right?
Yeah. I just love going there and just punching and stuff like that. It was awesome. I did heaps of sports when I was a kid through school, footy, athletics, I was very active, and then they put me in a program in high school because I was getting in trouble for fights and all the time. So they put me in this like program where we'd go to a boxing gym every like once a week, just for like just muck around, burn some energy pretty much. Yeah. And then I liked it, and then I was like, I'm from Mackay up in Queensland, and Mackay MMA under David Garnham there. That's when I first originally started at a gym, and I trained there for about 12 months, and my family's like, "Oh, we're going to move to Sydney." I was like, "Oh, okay." Like that was a massive like shock for me.
What was the catalyst for moving to Sydney?
Just work, man, because mainly like there's mining jobs up there and stuff like that, and the mines have slowed down a bit and stuff like that. Like, let's a new change, and plus I wanted to do an apprenticeship, so I did my electrical apprenticeship when I come down here. Because I finished school in Queensland, come down here, started that, did that for 4 years whilst training, because I started at XXX when I moved down here. Yeah. And fighting as well, because I was 18 then, and that was hard, like doing my trade and then trying to fight as well, and getting I'm in the position now where I have my trade behind me, but I don't work during the week anymore. It's just full training, and now I can focus more on the training, my diet, recovery.
Yeah, I think it was one of the things that really interested me about was your last fight, which was on the because I was following the Fighting Demons documentary that came out, and one of the things that really stuck out to me was because this was a title fight for you and it was such a big deal, and you guys obviously had planned out to take the title and then go pro. Yep. Was that like prior to your camp, you actually decided to quit your day job? Yeah, completely?
that was the plan. Well, pretty much since I started my apprenticeship, the deal with my parents was I get a trade, and the same with the coaches. They said get a trade, get something behind you, and then let's turn pro and let's focus, put 100% into this.
But that is a big decision to make for anyone.
Yeah, it is. It's not easy. That's just another sacrifice that I've had to make. I had a good job, but would I be happy? No. Yeah. I'm much more happier doing this, and doing what I love. Pretty much, I love fighting. I love training.
You've got to appreciate it. It's a little bit crazy, right?
Oh, of course. But people outside of this game think it's crazy. But like this is what we love.
Of course. But I think just like purely as a spectacle aspect, right? To go from a stable, secure job to go, I'm going to go get punched in the face for a living. Yeah. It's like
not your everyday decision.
It's not your everyday decision, but I think that's what makes you so unique, and the fact that you are good at it, and the fact that you constantly keep on winning, and you've only got that one loss on your record, which we can go into as well. But you've clearly found your rhythm and your success, and you're reaping the benefits for all the risks that you're taking. Do you consider yourself a big risk taker?
Yes and no. I'm very calculated with my risks. Right. I like to think things through. I'm not reckless with my decisions and stuff. Everything, is pretty. That's what my training. Everything's thought out. We're not just doing whatever we want. Everything's thought out. My diet, everything's pretty. Even my recovery. Everything has its benefits for my life. I don't really do much else other than this. Fighting is pretty much my whole life. Everything revolves around fighting. I can't really put my time to anything else. This is the only thing that I like doing, And it's very rare in a career that you can get to do that. You know, very lucky to be able to do this, and I believe that's what I'm here for, to fight. Like that's what I was born to do.
Yeah.
You know, ever since I was little, bro, I love fighting. That's what I like to do. So to be able to make it a career finally, and because I never thought that I would, you know, be able to do this as a career, but to finally do it, and we're on the road to making it, you know, a proper nice career for me. It's really, really exciting to see.
Yeah.
In the next 5 to 10 years, man, are going to be unreal.
Yeah, I'm 100% on board with that, because I'm seeing, you know, some of the boys that come out of XXX and the younger guys you have coming up as well. And it's not just the fact that you are a talented fighter, because obviously you are. Obviously
course.
you're a talented
Yeah.
fighter,
Yeah.
but what's unique about MMA is that while it is an individual sport, it is very much a team sport, and you rely so heavily on the people around you, your
100%.
coaches, people like
100%.
Moey
Yeah.
and his expertise, and your sparring partners, and people like Kaleb to
Yeah.
really push you and be there alongside
That's
you with
what
the camps.
you need. You know, you can't be anything without good people around you. And if I didn't have if I didn't have them behind me, you know, in my circle, there's no way I would be here talking to you. There's not a chance. You know, without the team behind me, it's just unreal what we have there. Them, like all their experience put together, anywhere in the world you couldn't find that. No, there's no way.
So Moey, what's the philosophy that makes XXX so different to every other gym? And why do you have such good fighters coming out of it? What's your secret sauce?
I don't know if it's a secret. Look, again, like Lockie just said, I think it's the combination of the way our coaches, we're really laid back, we're really relaxed, even on fight nights, like it's really strange, like in the back, you know, with Nathan Reddy, the head, like, you know, one of his other coaches, and Horse's head coach, and Zane Saliba, and we got lots of experience with these guys. But if you see us on fight night, like we're in the back cracking jokes.
Yeah.
Like everyone's really tense, we're not. So we take it, and it's all about going out there and having fun. Yes, it's a serious thing, but it depends on the mentality as well. And also with our gym concept, like I said, look, some gyms are a lot better these days, but we don't believe in keeping everyone in-house. So, for example, if, you know, Lockie is lucky enough to be part of Rob Whittaker and the Gracie team, so he does some
What an
stuff.
honour.
You know, both Lockie and Kaleb are able to, you know, Rob Whittaker's coaches have been, you know, we've been lucky enough to be invited to do some stuff with the boys. You know, so they wrestle and they do some MMA down with Rob and Izzy and Jacob Malcoon and those sorts of guys. So we're very lucky in the sense that we have some very external supports as well, and external gyms that invite the boys to train. And even with our young generation, even before with this, like I said, XXX is our base, and they know it's their home, but we're really confident in our fighters, and we don't mind them going externally and doing their boxing at another gym, or doing their kickboxing at another gym, or doing some strength and conditioning at another gym. They know where their home is, they know where their base is. And then with the experience and the level of coaches that we have, you know, with my experience, with Nathan Reddy's experience, with Zane Saliba, who was on the Ultimate Fighter House, you know, we got Aiden Maruki now, who's come over there as well, is another black belt, and he's been a really good training partner with the boys. You know what I mean? We're very lucky in that, you know, where my strength, where I don't have certain strengths, the other boys fill that gap. So we're all very focused on specific things, and the boys, we're just, like I said, we're just lucky in the sense that other gyms are now seeing that. So we've got external boys coming in. The boys go externally and do some stuff. And I think one of the biggest things to growth as a fighter is letting them go. If you sort of hold someone in, they'll have dramas in growing.
It's a very humble perspective to hold, isn't it? Because for a lot of gyms, like, I think they tend to want to control and 100%. Condense and...
Look, it was like that back in my day. Like, again, like I said, I've been around for a long time. When I started training, there was very little MMA gyms.
Why don't you give us a bit of a background? Like, what's your fight experience?
So
and
I started, look,
resume?
I've been in the game. So I started training MMA. So I done a little bit of boxing when I was in my late teens at Minto PCYC. So it's a gym out in Campbelltown. And I done just a little bit of boxing there just for my anger issues. I was a bit of a silly young man. But, you know, and then I went, as I was studying, because I went to uni and I did study after that. And so outside of the gym, I work full time. I'm actually a TAFE teacher. So I've been a teacher for 13 years.
What do you teach?
Community services. So I went in and I've become a youth worker as well. So I've done youth work for about 6 years. till I was about 28.
And do you think the fact that you did come, with a bit of trouble as a teenager, with a bit of a hot head, do you think that kind of influenced your decision
100%.
to want to help other kids?
Yeah, of course. I grew up in an area called Claymore in Campbelltown, so it's in the 80s and 90s, and for those who know who a Claymore is, they'd know what I'm talking about. So it was a pretty rough area, you know what I mean? Being one of very little Lebanese families in the Campbelltown region 35 years ago. I copped a lot of bullying and stuff around my name and my culture and all that sort of stuff. But look, it's made me who I am today. And I did rebel. I went through what normal teenage stuff and people do and done what I did. But then I sort of pulled my head in and sort of directed it and put my energy in the right areas and went back and studied and worked as a youth worker, went into high school, one of the high schools that I graduated from, just to try and give back. And then my long-term goal was to teach in community services. But outside of that, I needed to release myself. I'm still, like a typical male, and I like aggression. I like to handle
Driven
stuff,
with
you know what I mean?
testosterone.
I need to release that somewhere. So it's I started training. So I looked for an MMA gym, and there was a gym in Campbelltown called CMA Hapkido Gym. When I was about 24, I actually started there. So I started there because they were one of the only local places that done Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, because I found out about BJJ. So this was 16 years ago, and because not many were around. And I walked into this place. So I started doing BJJ in a Hapkido gym 16 years ago. So it was very different.
You were one of
then.
the early adopters of BJJ. Then.
Very,
We're
very,
talking
very
about,
early. So my coach back
Gracie
then,
family time.
it was there even before that. But back then, one of the coach was a purple belt. So there wasn't many black belt coaches like there is now, and people with the experience and the caliber that there is now, but they were all coming through. So lots of the guys that I started training with back then and now black belts. So they've continued with the game. I sort of left that gym about 9 months into it. I wanted to do more striking based stuff. So I wanted to do more Thai boxing, kickboxing and MMA. And they didn't have that for me there. It was more of a karate based so it wasn't the sort of bodies that I remember I competed in an internal comp and I beat his best guy and they got the shits. And I'm like, okay, well, this isn't the whole point of competition.
Yeah.
So I left that gym and I found out there was another guy named Poles, an Islander mate of mine, and he was training at a gym in Minto. And he's like, come down. And I didn't know much about it. He's like, they've got some really good guys there, MMA, blah, blah, blah. So I went to this facility in Minto, and it happened to be Mark Hunt's private facility. So Mark had a private gym in Minto near the station there, and his trainer Sandoy, and this is where I met Charlie Bishwadi, who's now Rob Whittaker's kickboxing, Thai boxing coach, and then I met a whole heap of other boys. So I was lucky enough, and it's one of those gyms where you had to be invited to, like it was a private facility, like it wasn't open to the public, and I started training with all those guys around 2008. And done something in the likes of Robert Lasita early in the day. So I actually grew up with Rob Lasita in Claymore as well. So I've known Rob for a very long time. And still back then, like Rob Lasita, he trained at ATT for a little bit as well, I think. And he was one of the best lightweight fighters, welterweight, featherweights going around. He was an absolute beast of his time.
So as you're doing these circuits and as you're kind of becoming more familiar with the MMA scene in Sydney and becoming more involved, was there a point in your career where you said, like, it's time to compete?
Yeah, well, look, I started training with these guys, and I didn't do it to compete initially. I just wanted to sort of get a little bit out. And I done a lot with Rob and Charlie and these guys early on. And then I thought, I need to have a crack at this. I need to compete. And I was 28 by the time so it was a lot old, Lockie's 21 and he's already had 10 fights. So it's very different. And I've got, I've got a young
busy
boy.
Kid.
Mate, I've got a young Blair at our gym. He's 15 and he's had 20 fights. So, you know what I mean? Like,
shit.
This is what I'm saying. This is what you're comparing to now. So it's very different back then. So, but I wanted to have a crack, and I did, and I had an MMA fight, and then I had a kickboxing fight. But unfortunately for me, it was like there was a mix. At that stage, I had 3 kids. I just started my career at TAFE. I had to make a decision of what I wanted to do. So I was, with me, it's with fighting in general. Like, you have a commit, you do it all, or you don't. It's hard to do.
You can't half-ass in MMA.
And I'm very competitive, so it's very difficult. And look, I made the decision. I'm glad I did what I did, and I competed when I did. If I hadn't, I wouldn't be able to coach the way I coach the boys today.
So that was my follow-up question for you, Lachlan, is that because Moey obviously has a vast base of expertise in which he's able to draw from and pick up on your mistakes and help fine tune you. How much has he influenced your fight style? How much has he influenced the way you go into the cage?
Oh, massively. Pretty much, my whole game and my whole fight style, we've started from the ground up. When we first started training together, when Moey started holding pads for me, when I was 17, 18, just starting to fight. We started from nothing really, and we've built up my game slowly, added little things here and there, touched things up. It's a constant work in progress. But from where we've started to now, like I look back and like, wow, it's just crazy. He's unreal what he can do, and just over time, working hard, it goes to show, and then you can see it in my fights. My fight record speaks for itself in that what we've been doing. That just shows what we do every day. We're not doing it for no reason. It shows it in all our fights, all the boys' fights, Kaleb's fights, my fights. All the younger boys' fights. When they all start fighting now, you'll see it, and that's what we do. We're all the same. We love to fight, and come in and finish fights. Like that's our gym culture. We're not cocky about it or anything. We just love to fight.
That's something I definitely get from the boys from Triple X, is that there's almost this scaringly calm presence about you guys. It's just so relaxed and so chill, but there's a desk between us, and I know that at any point, if you wanted to, you could take my head off because you're just an assassin. Like, it's just the way it is. You've spent the last, from 17, you're 24 now, did you say?
Almost 22.
22, sorry,
Almost
my bad.
22,
my bad. So you've spent the last 5 years fine-tuning this blade over and over again. While the rest of us normal people are out there just living lives,
doing stuff,
going out there. You were just fine-tuning that jab. You were just fine-tuning that head kick.
Everything,
And so at any point in time, you have that potential. But you're just so calm and relaxed about it.
There's no reason to be, excited about it and stuff. When I need to turn myself on, I turn it on. But normal everyday stuff, there's no reason to act. I'm a pro fighter. Of course, I can back myself and I'm confident in my ability, but I'm a professional. This is my job pretty much. This is my, I'm professional.
I guess there's just that notion though that when people imagine a fighter, in their head,
they have
think
this
they're gonna be
stigmatism.
like that.
They tend to have this stigmatism. I even see it when I go out. If I'm out and someone's, "Oh, you're a pro fighter. You don't look like a fighter. What does a fighter look like? What does a fighter look like then? Explain to me." That's
Ben
just
Askren doesn't look like a fighter, but he's a fighter.
No, most fighters don't look like fighters. It's just that stigmatism of. But then males tend to get their back against the wall when you mention that, and then it sort of changes. So sometimes I'll just stick to things like, I'm just a sparky mate. Sometimes it's a bit easier with that. Otherwise, people tend to carry on a bit. But now that I'm pro, most people know anyway. They follow me on social media and whatnot, and it's good to get it out now that I am a pro, and this is my job. I'm proud of all the hard work that I've done, and it's showing in my fights. Well, why don't we pull up one of your fights? Because
I was going to say, I just saw that head kick.
Yeah, let's play this head kick. So this was under the UFN. This was your first fight?
First MMA fight.
First MMA fight.
19 years old, first MMA amateur. First fight.
And what a way to come into your career. Holy shit.
Mate, that video doesn't do it justice. The snap or the sound when he kicked.
And that clip of you on the cage. Can you replay that? That was crazy.
To live like gold. See it shine.
Already in the cage. Credit to Couch.
See us glow. To live like golden.
That was what he said to me, and I'm like, wow. And look, it was, you never want to see a fighter getting hurt. And Cash was out for actually a little while. If you see the whole video, they had to stop the fight night and get an ambulance.
Yeah.
Fuck, really?
Yeah. So he'd done some damage to his jaw. But like I said, credit to Cash, 3 months after, he'd come back, and Cash is actually undefeated since that loss.
Yeah. He's a good fighter.
He's a really, it was a tough.
Well, sometimes it
opponent.
takes a loss to really set a fighter into motion. Do you know what I mean?
100%.
Like the way a fighter is able to handle a loss may be career defining for them.
Yeah.
I think it would work both ways for him, and that was because that was a tough first fight for a 19-year-old.
Yeah,
Yeah,
of
well,
course.
Urban will throw you in there. They'll
guy's
throw
a-
you in there with the sharks.
Yeah, this guy's a beast, man.
They did that, that's for sure. And look, we knew, but myself and the other coaches were highly confident in his ability. So
that's
we knew
my
what we were
attitude.
doing.
That's what I fight. Like, that's why I want to fight the best. I don't want an easy fight. I don't want to walk in there. It's not enjoyable for me. I want to fight good fights. I want to put on a show, and finish them convincingly. Make it look easy. But I don't want easy fights.
So walk me through it, that first time ever going into the cage, like properly. Like what's going through your head as you pull up to the arena?
Oh, like arriving?
Yeah. Like, walk me through the whole thing.
Well, for my first MMA fight, I had a little bit of kickboxing experience, but that was like pretty much thrown out the window because this is a whole different ball game, whole different thing. I don't know if you've been to the urban arena.
I was at the most recent one actually.
They get pretty loud. It's quite intense, the arena. So you walk in there and you're getting your hands wrapped. The fighters are at the back warming up, and everyone's switched on. Everyone's switched on at the back, and fighters coming out, coming back in, busted up, and you're warming up, like, getting your hands wrapped. All right.
How are you feeling?
Oh, for the first one, I was nervous because I just didn't know what to expect.
Yeah.
I've never been in there before. I've never fought with the little gloves on. You can train as much as you want with them on, but actually being in there getting tagged by them is different. It's a whole different style.
Especially against someone that can crack.
Man, this dude's a beast. And then once I was warming up, get out the back, and then they call me out. But once I get in there, once I step one foot onto that mat, I know no one can beat me.
Yeah.
Once I step that foot on that mat, it's all over for him. The lights are on, the cage door closes. Are you ready? I'm ready. I'm ready to go. So let's go.
It's your cage.
That's my cage. Yeah. I'm in there to finish and, do my business, what I train to do. And I put on a show that just, solidified my MMA career, my first fight. And so here I am. Remember my name because that's, and it's getting out there. We're getting some more exposure and some more following, which is good.
Well, I think what you're doing in terms of like, especially with the documentary, I think that was an excellent move on your end.
Yep.
Really humanize the process that you go through. Because for a lot of people that watch you from the sidelines and might be more of casual fans, they see that clip, they see the head kick, or they see, you subbing someone, or they see, just the fight, or maybe not even the whole fight, just the highlight reel. But to get like 30 full minutes of the preparation process and the pre-game, strategizing and the way you're eating and the way you're like...
Yeah, it goes through everything.
The depth that you go.
If you guys haven't seen it, check it out.
Yeah, it's on Vimeo.
It really goes through everything.
It's called Fighting Demons. 100% recommend. It's only 30 minutes long, and it's very good. It's very, very good.
Yeah.
How did that opportunity come about?
Well, Mitchell from Bulfin Film actually contacted me, who are actually film students at the University of Sydney. So they contacted me and wanted to do some work, and I'm like, yeah, sure. And Mitch himself is right into the fighting. He's done some embedded series work in Australia and whatnot with the UFC. So he was great to have around, and their filming and everything was unreal. And no, it was really good production at the end of it. Like, we went to the screening and stuff, and unbelievable the job that they did. Credit to them. It was good work. And
so they followed your kind of camp and everything that went into your title shot.
Yeah, just a couple of days. The preparation, not too much of the preparation work that we do, but just a few things here and there. Some stuff that Moey does for our conditioning and just the day-to-day activities. That we get up to, and stuff like that.
Well, it's really good to like appreciate the work and effort and energy that goes into something like a fight.
Yep.
You know, because it is so demanding of you physically, and
Yep.
it's so you have to give so much to it.
Yeah, people see, probably 10% of it.
Exactly.
People watch 10% of the actual, the whole lead up. There's so much stuff that goes into it that people don't see throughout that camp. The things, the training, the recovery, the sacrifices that you have to make, things you can't do for that. Some people can't handle that. Some people don't have the willpower to say, "Nah, I can't do that. No, I can't do that."
Have there been moments in camps or even just in sparring or something along those lines where you've kind of like gone, I don't know, this might not be it?
In what way?
Like in terms of, with the sport itself, because you're pushing your body to the edge over and over and over again, have you had moments of doubt where you've gone like, I don't know if fighting's for me?
Oh, if you don't think you do, then you're not being very honest with yourself. Of course, we all have our bad days. I have bad days of training, We all have our bad days, our off days and stuff, but you just got to come back from that. Right, tomorrow's another day. That's why I'm glad to have these guys here that I can talk to about that and get it off my chest and tell them how I'm feeling. And they know everything about my life. Where I tell them everything. They know everything, so they know me. They know when I'm off. They know things like that, so they know when I need a rest. Little things like that. That's where our team succeeds so well because we're so close.
Yeah, I think that's so important again because it is such a team sport.
Yep.
It is such a team sport.
Yep.
How do you handle your, or I want to say losses, but your one loss?
Yeah,
that was a very big learning curve for you. I
imagine.
imagine.
It was for me because I had the one fight on Urban, and then all of a sudden I'm on the Australian team in Gold Coast representing like Australia against other countries and stuff. And I fought the first day against New Zealand. I finished him in the first round. That was not a bad fight. And then the second day I got the current world champion.
Yes.
Ramazan
from
Kitanov.
Russia, correct?
Bahrain, originally from Dagestan. Fights out of Bahrain.
What are they doing in Dagestan, right?
But that was a massive
building some warriors over there.
Well, these guys specifically. So the guy
Yeah,
that
man.
fought. See, what they do, they get him out of Bahrain, and they take him from Dagestan. Sorry, they take him over to Bahrain, and they fund their training.
Right.
So their coach had fought Khabib. It was 10-1 as a pro. The guys that were looking after these boys.
Eldar Khan.
So and experience was Lockie had 2 MMA fights. This guy had 13 or 14 fights under his belt and was current European world champion. He held everything. So it wasn't an amateur fight.
Yeah, this was high level.
Very high level.
This is my
very
third
high
MMA
level.
fight, and I'm getting chucked in. Like, I don't mind. Like, that's fine. I want to fight. A world champion, and this is like the best amateur in my weight division in the world.
It surprises me that he's even being put in with the amateurs, like why he isn't a pro.
That's just the way the circuit works.
I think, and that's why the Dagestanians are so good and the Russians are so good, is because they do spend a long time in their amateur scenes,
Right.
where they build that experience, and I think it's a great way to do it. But the issue here is that we don't generally have the opportunities that they have overseas when it comes, because they fight on a lot of these IMAF series and these amateur series where they can fight 3 fights in a night. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's continuous. Or 3 fights, over 3 days. So they fight, and if they win, they go to the next day, which is what happened to Lockie. So
Yeah,
he
that was
won,
another.
and then he went to the next day. And had he won, he would have fought again the following day. And that's where a lot of these guys build their fight experience. And that's why by the time they turn pro, they've had 20 or 30 amateur fights.
That was another thing that was very different as fighting back-to-back days. You're used to having your weigh-ins, 24 hours, rehydrate and stuff, and then you fight, and then it's over.
Yeah.
But you got to do weigh-ins in the morning at 7 a.m. and then
So you have to do weigh-ins every
every day, yeah.
Whoa, that is
man.
tough.
Yeah.
So you can't really fight at your normal weight.
Yeah.
You go up a weight division
And
generally.
I cut quite a bit of weight, like for that, because I couldn't go up to middleweight, so I was too small, and then fighting below. So I had to cut a little bit of weight every morning, which wasn't easy. But that was a massive wake-up call for me, because I've never really experienced a wrestler like that, because it's just a different style of wrestling. It's not your general, you go to wrestling class or you go to a gym that's wrestling based and stuff, you wrestle or whatnot. this is a whole new level. And the pressure, you can see it in Khabib's fights, you know, the pressure that they use in their fighting, and they're just relentless.
It is very much just a maul and squeeze kind of approach, and just take down. And
Well, it was to the point where I was watching them before. They didn't even strap their fighter's hand.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
So they never intended to strike with him because they watched Lockie's previous fight and they knew a bit about his striking because he's got really good striking.
Mm-hmm.
He threw one punch and then it was straight into the grapple.
The grapple, like the whole 3 rounds, man. He just pretty much had me against the cage, and I would try and work my way up, get to my feet, and just back down again. But that was a big wake up call, and we went back to the drawing board when we got back, and we've been working on that ever since.
So with all due respect, Moey, because I don't want to discredit any of the hard work that you're putting in, but after experiencing something like that, was there a part of you that kind of thought, I'd like to go over there and see what's going on?
Of course,
Eldar
invited me himself after the fight.
Really? You got invited to go?
He said, yeah, come over, no problem, train your wrestling. And which I was honoured to be invited over there because that would be unreal experience to be over there. That was just before COVID actually first hit.
Right.
Yeah. So I fought in March, and COVID hit Australia
A week later,
in
we were in that
the next
full
week.
lockdown.
Yeah.
Right.
So that's what pretty much halted that. So
It messed up a bit because Lockie was actually invited to Junior Worlds to fight in Kazakhstan July that year, which he couldn't go to because of COVID. It ruined everything, and that's because that's where he would have been able to test himself.
Yeah. Yeah, that would have been good. Hopefully bring home a gold medal, you know, but it is what it is. You can't, it's out of our control, you know. It would have been good, but
sometimes things just happen for reasons.
Exactly.
Whatever reason you're supposed to stay here.
Exactly, yeah. But I would have liked to have tested myself on that stage. Of course, it would have been great. But hey, I'm here. I'm still fighting. Yeah. So that's the main thing.
Yeah, exactly. I think there's only so many aspects of this that you really can control. You can't control what your opponent's going to do. You can't control what the coaches are going to do, but you can control the amount of effort you put in and the amount of precision you put in and the consistency that you put in. And at the end of the day, that's all you can do.
I know I'm putting in 110%. That's all I focus on. You know, that's why my coaches and everything, they control the training I do and stuff. I just got to make sure that I eat right. And I put in 110% every day. Everything else is all taken care of, which is the perfect position for this whole thing to work.
So how did you process that loss?
I was obviously had the shits afterwards, and you know it was frustrating, but it was very humbling as well. Extremely humbling after, because I've never I come in 5-0 kickboxing. You know, I finished the dude, you know, the day before. Like, yeah, come on. And just the way he ragdolled me in there, it was just unreal. Like, he didn't touch me up or anything. Like, I wasn't hurt or like that. But just the pressure of not being able to move. Like, I've experienced that with, you know, you wrestle or roll with jiu-jitsu black belts and stuff like that. But it was just different the way he did it.
What did it feel like?
Honestly, it just feels like, you know, like how a snake, squeezes its prey? Mm-hmm. That's like what it feels like.
Really?
Yeah, that's what I just felt very helpless in there. I felt like a little kid. That's how you felt. But luckily, I have the attitude where it's in amateurs. You know, it was good. I'm glad that happened. I'm very glad that I experienced that then, because we got to come back and we've been working on that ever since. And I'm very confident in my wrestling now. Yeah. Very confident, yeah.
Yeah, so it pays the dividends. Like I said, it's the way you handle those losses.
Yeah.
It's the way you handle them, whether you learn from it or whether you just kind of get pissed off about it.
Yeah. Of course I was pissed. No one likes losing. Of course I was pissed, but you just got to bounce back, which I did.
From a coaching perspective, how are you kind of managing that situation?
Oh, look, it's all about. I don't generally talk to him about what happened in the fight straight after the fight. I believe in letting them, and same with the other coaches, we let them process what just happened, let them sort of go through their own emotions first. And then we'll sit down while they'll get them to watch the fight back, or then we'll watch it back and then we'll break down some of the things that could have happened or what had happened and what he may have done differently. But we sort of try and move forward and move on pretty quickly. So we don't want to dwell on the past and focus on the negatives. We'll focus on the positives of the fight as well. The thing about that fight is that, you know, there are fights that as coaches you see see something in him, and that was the fight where I saw something in Lockie that made me think, yes, this kid's got it.
What did you see?
Well, he didn't break. So that guy, that sort of level caliber fighter will break a person. And they will give up. I've seen people give up in a fight, during a fight. Like, just break. You can see it.
I'll
on
learn
their
to it.
face.
I've given up in the middle.
You can see it.
For
and
sure.
look, for me, if sometimes it's just not meant to be for everyone. You know what I mean? No matter unfortunately, how some people train, no matter how hard you train or what you do, it's just not meant to be. But he didn't give up. He didn't break. He was actually talking to him why he was in a bad position.
What were you saying?
He was going, "Is that all you got?" So it's like, look,
And he understood it too. Yeah. He understood it too.
Which was good, but in a way, obviously, it was, but it just showed us that, this didn't phase him. And you know what? He'd playing it down a little bit. After, he was fine. He got up. He was fine. He took it. He didn't complain. He didn't whinge. And then we spoke about it, and we knew what we had to work on after the fact. And we have been, like he's saying, since his wrestling and his jiu-jitsu is a completely different level now since that fight. So he needed that fight.
Well, I know your jiu-jitsu is good because you won the championship with an armbar.
Yes. Yeah.
You won with an arm. Can we pull that up? Can we actually go to the fight? It should be on YouTube just there.
Oh, the beast one.
Yes.
And look, credit to Tom too. He came in as a forward.
Full screen that. Let's play this.
Tom was going to come in, was about to turn pro as well.
Yeah.
And they asked him if he could take this fight with Lockie beforehand.
So this is your title shot.
Yep.
At the Beast Championship.
Yep.
Lachlan comes up.
Nice head kick there.
Is this the second round?
Yeah, this is round 2. Just lower the volume a little bit, Sion.
Todd comes in after it.
So you're pressed up against the cage right now.
Yep.
A lot of pressure on you, and you're obviously trying to navigate that situation. What's going through your head here?
Just being patient. Don't be reckless. Don't give him anything. You know. Just being patient.
And are you thinking like of specific strategies to get out of there, or are you kind of just waiting it out to see what he does next?
We're just sort of waiting. Try and give me something. He shoots for a double here.
Tom's getting after it now. Will he get it?
I had his neck.
Yeah, see, this is where I thought he was in
So
trouble.
I had his neck here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought he was in a lot of
Does he
trouble
have-
here.
no?
I had that on. Like
Himself safe?
he's hard to choke.
Bit of space here to
Why
work with.
why is that? Why is he hard to choke?
Strong neck.
Right.
keeps
A lot
single.
of grapplers and whatnot with a really strong neck. And some people are just hard to choke.
It's an interesting one. I
But
haven't heard that before.
You just
Strong
gotta.
neck.
Some people are hard to choke.
Yeah.
Generally, they are just hard to choke. But he's strong. Like he's a strong dude, man.
Yeah, I guess when you think about what a neck is, like it is just an intercourse
Yep.
of like all these muscles. So yeah, you could train it, I guess. And
Pins me around a bit. I'm not hurt here. I'm just thinking, being
give us
patient,
back
don't get too
though.
reckless, don't do nothing stupid.
And this was a big moment in the
Taking everything
documentary
in.
as well, because they very much portrayed it as you were taking like a lot of damage, and they,
Yeah, I'm not taking any damage here. I'm still comfortable. This is what we train for. I'm not too stressed here. It's a 5-round fight, so I'm not too worried.
yeah,
Trying to soften him up a bit.
as long as you stay safe and you be smart with your jits, and
Of course, yeah.
you've got
Yeah,
3 more rounds to
Yeah.
really.
Yeah, I'm not too concerned. I'm not taking any damage here. So, and he got a bit too reckless with his top control.
So where
And
did
he
you see
paid
the
the price.
opportunity?
I just felt it coming, Yeah, bang,
Yeah.
straight away. Just timed that punch.
Does he lock
Chip
that
out.
on? Is
And
he
that is
going
in
for it?
deep.
He is.
Ladies and
He
gentlemen.
didn't want to tap too.
What's he gonna turn
He
this
did
into?
not want to tap.
Of course not.
Because the triangle, he didn't
Tom's
want
been
to
doing a
tap.
good
So I
job,
switched to the
like-
armbar.
Oh, he
And
gets
he's
it.
about to pop, man. I can
gets
feel
a
it
tap
going,
and he
going,
wins.
Can you
going.
just rewind that a little bit?
You can see the elbow joint flexing.
Because it was so fast, but yeah, that like
If
that,
he didn't tap, that was going to go.
that in-guard armbar, you just put the way you were talking it with your
Yeah.
whole body.
Yeah.
And I think the fact that you were on your back made it even more dangerous for
Yeah.
him.
That's why I'm dangerous from everywhere, man.
Yeah.
Everywhere the fight goes, I'm dangerous.
Does he lock that on? Is he going for it? He is. What's he going to turn this into? Tom's been doing a good job. He gets him.
And look
He
at the
gets
first
a tap
round,
and
Lockie
he
actually
wins.
dominated and gassed a little bit, so he underestimated, rushed a little bit, but he picked up.
Lachlan.
Tom
And so
in the
that
first
feeling
round.
when you're sitting on the cage and you know you've won.
Oh
the
yeah,
belt.
Pretty
There,
crafty.
nothing beats that feeling, eh?
Yeah.
And the whole team there, that's all their
Tom
hard
was
work.
tough and he defended
and
some of his
sacrifices,
submissions
paying off
earlier on,
right
but
there. And he's a good dude, man. He's got a
there's a
good
bit of
team
skill.
down there, Tasmania. They're good dudes.
he gets his
you can
good
cut
win.
it there,
Nice
it's
win.
Well, Tom took that fight because no one else would fight Lockie. So
Yeah, we couldn't get no one.
couldn't get
no
anyone.
one would say yes.
So Tom he's actually turning pro in the next Beast promotion, but he was going to turn pro last year, and they asked him if he would fight Lockie before he turned pro, and they said yes, thanks to them, but no one else. This is part of the reason why we've turned him pro already, because he's ready, but we would have liked a few more fights, but COVID and the fact that no one wants to fight him
Yeah, it makes that hard.
makes it difficult.
Yeah, that tends to be the case with a lot of dominating fighters here in the Sydney scene in particular. Like I've spoken to Jacinta Austin, I've obviously spoken to Kaleb
Yep.
and a couple of the other pros, and it seems like
No one
once
wants
you
to fight.
hit that level, matchmaking becomes a lot harder.
Very.
Yeah, as an amateur, yeah. As pro, it's different, but as an amateur, pro will get plenty, but as an
think-
amateur,
yeah?
pro
Endless
is
amount,
different.
yeah. Yeah.
What's the... I'm coming from a place of ignorance now. What is the shift between amateurs and pros that makes matching with pros so much
Well,
easier?
the coaching generally, and the fighters, that people would tend to avoid certain people as amateurs. They want to, whether it's trying to build confidence in their fighters or whatever it is. Most of the time, the coaches will make the decision not to fight a certain person because they think that their fighter's not ready. So that's and there are some gyms that they like to find the fights that suit their fighters.
Yep.
So no one likes to lose, whether you're a coach or you're a fighter. But
But wouldn't the amateur ranks be the place where you get that out?
This is why our boys have had tough fights, because we don't turn away tough fights. We will get them ready for a tough fight. The way I see it, if you're going to lose, you lose as an amateur, because by the time you get to the pro scene, your holes will be exposed, and you will get caught out. And I've seen that happen with lots of guys who have had really good amateur careers, turn pro, and then they don't do very well because of that reason, because they've had an easier run as an amateur. But look, each gym is each to their own, each coaching. They do things for whatever reasons that they do them, but it's a big shift when you're moving from amateur to pro. And like I said, there are lots of guys who sort of protect their guys under the amateur ranks, and they'll pick and choose who they want to fight. I've got it now with some of our amateurs where we're trying to match, and I'm getting calls from promoters going, "No, these guys don't want to fight your guy." I'm like, "Why?" And the guy goes, "Oh, because he's too experienced, or he's too good, or he's too this."
But
or
as
he's
a
too
fighter,
that. I'm
for someone like yourself, right? Because you said to me, you don't care who it is, you just want to fight.
Yeah.
I imagine a lot of fighters think like that. So
Do they really?
yeah.
They
do you
might
think
say
it's the
it.
fighter themselves, or do you think it's the gym around them that's trying to protect them?
No, it's the fighter.
You think it's the fighter?
Yeah. Of course, that team might make a decision on their behalf, but of course, it's down to us. I trust them with my life. Otherwise, I wouldn't do this. They have my back, and I know that they'll look after me, and they wouldn't say yes to anything that would put me in danger. They're confident in my ability. I'm confident in my ability. To fight the best of the best, because that's what I train for. That's why we train, to fight the best, not to fight. I'll just fight this guy because it'll look good on internet, it'll look good on Facebook or Instagram.
Yeah, just add it to the highlight reel.
Yeah, I'm not about that, man. Of course, fight the tough guy, make it look easy, knock him out, then put it on your highlight reel.
Yeah.
Of course, then you've earned it. But don't go fighting, some bum, and then putting on your highlight reel like, oh man, it's the best.
Yeah, well, I think it's a short-term game, right? You're playing a very short, quick validation fix. Hey, look at this crazy thing that I just did.
Yeah.
I just knocked someone out. And of course, if you're not a fight fan, or if you don't really know the narratives that are built in, or the experience or the records of the person that you just knocked out, then you're like, oh wow, he just
it looks good.
it looks
good.
amazing.
Yeah.
But then you find out the
People
guys are
love watching it.
0-17.
Yeah,
you know?
people love watching that
And
stuff.
a lot of amateur boxers as well, in all parts of the world, are notorious for that. Like Tommy Fury is, I think 5-0. Can you pull up Tommy Fury's fight record?
Yeah, but look at the people he's fought.
Exactly. He's like something in as a pro, but he's fought bums.
Yeah, and this is what we do. Like, I research not just the
He's a
guys that they
7-0.
fight.
7-0.
I look at the guys that they fought.
Yeah. And you're versing guys that are 0-16, and it's just like, what did you get from that experience aside from getting a 1 on your record?
Yeah. Yeah.
And look, it happens in the fight game across the board, not just MMA. Like you said, boxing,
everywhere.
Yeah.
boxing,
Happens-
it
happens everywhere.
And like I said, whether they do it for a reason, whether it's building confidence, trying to give in, but to me, you just there's a certain, I don't know how much you're actually getting out of these fights.
Has it
You know what
always
I mean?
been like that, or is this more of a recent kind of
No,
trend?
it's always been like even back in my day. Like,
Yeah.
you know, it's always been like that. Where probably more so now. I think now people are trying to sort of just make it their fighters, give their fighters a little bit of an easier run, because when you do get to the pro as an MMA fighters, like your bigger promotions like zeros next to people's names, and that's again, there's probably that little bit more of that pressure from the gym and the coaching side to try and keep a zero next to your fighter's name. Because a big promotion won't always look at a 5-3 or a 6-10, 10-6, or when you've had that many losses, unless it's against high caliber fighters. But and it's disheartening because the fighters will see, guy joins the UFC and they're 6-0, or 7-0, or 7-1, or 10-1. So you've already got that mentality, like I can't lose, and then the pressure of the coaches thinking the same thing in the gym. And all those factors together, so
I've
it
heard
is
it's
difficult.
very much so like the Floyd Mayweather effect,
Yeah.
because he is 50-0.
Yeah.
And so because that sells so well, it's like, who's going to be the one that gets him? Who's going to be the one that gets him?
Yeah.
That's right.
So I think a lot of fighters have tried to simulate that approach and
Yeah.
have that same draw of having the O.
Yeah.
I find though, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I find that in the MMA community, that's not as treasured. The O's not as held in.
No, not the O, but like still, you don't want to have 1, 2, maybe
you don't
3
want-
losses on your record as a pro before you, and you have to have some sort of run, I guess, before you get a sort of a C in from some of these bigger promotions. Like you can't be 2-3 or 2-2 and then get a call up unless you're 2-2s against 4 solid guys
Right.
with big records. You know what I mean themselves. So it's a difficult one because as a coaching. From the coaching perspective, you got to try and manage that as well, as well as the fighters, and sort of managing that pressure can be difficult. And that's where you find. But look, at the end of the day, if you trust in your ability, you trust in your fighters, you trust in the process, then if your guys got it, they've got it. And if it's meant to be, it's meant to be. There's only so much you can do as a coach or coaches behind the scene. There's only so much they can do to their fighters. On the day, things happen.
Yeah.
Things happen. You
Yeah,
know
of
what
course,
I mean?
that's the game. Yeah.
Things happen, and I've known people who their record doesn't justify how good they are. So,
There's obviously a lot of pressure on your shoulders come fight day.
Yeah, of
Right.
course. Yeah.
It's this 10-week camp, and it all rides on this one day that you perform.
Yeah.
Do you employ any kind of like strategies to mitigate that? Like, do you meditate? Do you go for walks? Are you really into like, I don't know, cold baths
Yeah.
or
No, I don't really have like any fight rituals.
No.
Or anything like that. I'm gonna just take the day as it comes. Really, just kick back. Always sleep. Like try and get a good sleep in. It is hard to sleep not before a fight
yeah?
because it's a big deal. There's a lot of pressure on you, as you said, but you just try and stay calm and just remember what I like to do is like remember why you're doing this. Remember what you've been through. Remember the sacrifices that you've made for this, and that just calms me down a bit. Okay, I'm good. But of course, I believe in myself 100%, that I'm gonna finish it the way I want to and control the fight the way I want to.
Where do you draw that certainty from then?
Just from my positivity. I'm very positive, in my life, even with everything that's happened in the last 2 years and whatnot. It's been hard on me, especially being a pro fighter, not working. It's very hard financially. My relationships have gone down south a little bit with everyone around me, and it's taken a bit of a toll on it. But you just got to stay positive with everything, and I'm very, very lucky to have people around me that are my coaches, but also people at home. My family, my beautiful girlfriend. She backs me all the way. So it's good to have like people around me like that really believe in me, and I feed off that, and then I believe in myself. If I'm having a day where like, Just a bit down, you know, don't want to do anything. I'll get a kick in the ass from someone. Someone around me is going to give me a kick in the ass. Say, get up, let's go. Let's do it, you know. And that's where it all comes from. We all feed off each other. Yeah. Same with the boys at the gym. Someone's having an off day, bro, what's wrong? Like, talk to me about it. You know, we'll help out. Help each other out. That's it. That's the culture that we hold. You know, that's why we're so close. But that's where we're all positive. All of us, we're all positive, you know. I'm sure that you when you had Crazy Horse on, he's the same. Always positive, man. That's just what we believe in. Just go forward. No looking back. It's good to look back and, you know, look what you've done and be proud of it, but just keep moving forward. You know?
Yeah, I think having that. Sorry, did I interrupt you?
No, I was just going to say, as coaches, we sense it.
Yeah.
We can sense it. When you've been around these guys for so long, like myself, Nathan, Zane, we know when there's something going on. We can sense it in the way they're training. We can sense it in the way they're sparring. We can see it. And generally we're not wrong. And especially with Horse, I'll pull him up and he'll tell me. So, and that's what makes them so good as well. They need to realise these things. They need to fight these demons and these things that are going through their mind. And they've all got lives outside of fighting, and I want them to live their lives. They have to. There has to be some sort of stability between their life and their fight world. And to me, there should be a separation as well. Just like I go to work, I don't take my work home.
So how do you create that separation?
By talking to them. So I make them understand they have to talk things out. So whether it's to me or to Nathan or Zane or one of the other boys at the gym.
You have to be honest.
They have to be honest. They got to talk it out. And like I said, for me, it's my fight. My gym stuff is my gym stuff, and my family is my family. So I keep that separate because, you know, I have sacrificed a lot for the training side of things, but, you know, you try and separate it as much as you can. I want them to go out. I want both, you know, Lockie and Horse to spend time with their girlfriend, to spend time with their family, they're only 21 and 24. They're still young. You need to live those lives. Some, you know, people say, no, you got to sacrifice everything. You got to do everything. Don't worry about, no, I don't believe that. Like, to me, you need to have some sort of normality in your life outside of your fighting. If you don't, I think you'll struggle, and I've seen people struggle. So.
I can definitely vouch for that. I spent a bit of time in South America because I used to play soccer. And because the level of competition was so much higher over there, it was very quickly inundated my entire world.
Yeah, 100%.
You know, it was school and for 6 hours and then 18 of just football.
Yeah.
And I don't think that's a healthy relationship to have with the sport, because it might work for 3-4 months where you just 100%. Hyper focused on the one thing, but you end up hating it.
You burn yourself.
But then what happens?
You resent it.
What happens if you don't get your goal? And what happens at the end of it when you're so used to giving that everything, and then all of a sudden that stops? It doesn't turn out too well. The players of, you know, mental health will go down the drain. All of a sudden you find yourself in an empty room just thinking about, well, what did I do wrong? So that's why I'm a big believer in not sort of, you got to be very careful with your sacrifices when it comes to this game.
But I think when you've got, you know, characters like David Goggins, for example, right, who is so willing to push the boundaries on what's physically possible. As human beings, we're drawn to that, and we want to draw, you know, inspiration from that and use that as fuel. And so I think there's definitely a culture here in Australia where it's almost like this toxic hustle. You know, it's just work. And so I really respect the fact that you guys are able to create that boundary and really make sure that your fighters do have something outside of that.
When I talk about sacrifices and stuff that I've made, that's what Moey was saying, and we'll go into that a bit more, that I like getting away. You know, I like going out with my mates and stuff like that. But there's a time and there's a place to do it, you know. But in the right time, you know, we go away, me and the boys will go away or something like that and enjoy time. I'll go out with my girlfriend, you know, we go camping and stuff. Just get away from everything and just, you know, block everything out, take a step back.
You a camper? You go camping?
Go camping, yeah.
Whereabouts do you go?
We went to Stockton Beach last weekend. That was good.
How was that?
It was good, man. Yeah. No, it was really good to camp on the beach. I haven't done that before.
Oh, really?
So, yeah, just go around different places. I love traveling too. I love getting out, you know, with my mates and whatnot. But when it's time to work, it's time to work.
Yeah.
You know, that's what, that's how we run. That's how we run the show. I can get out and do stuff. And as Moey said, go out and enjoy yourself. But when we're back in the gym, you switch on.
Yeah.
You know, When you're here, you're on my time. You switch on. You know, so that's just a respecting that we have with all the coaches at the gym.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think, you know, having that accountability as well and making sure that the people around you are holding you accountable.
Yeah.
Because it's very easy to slip the other way as well and enjoy yourself
there's
too much.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
But when that happens, and it's happened to some of my fighters in the past from my other gym as well, and I just let them be. They'll come back when they're ready. You know what I mean? I'm their coach, not their father. You know what I mean? So you got to draw that line sometimes. You got to be careful. You can guide to a certain extent, but they need to make their own decisions as well.
We have to want it as well.
100%.
Yeah.
So, and at the end of the day, all the coaches, you know what I mean? We've all got families. We've all got other jobs, most of us. The time that we put in is extra generally. So it's the time that we commit to the gym. So even though we do help in lots of different ways, we've still got our own things to deal with. We got our own sacrifices. Like physically for me and Nathan and Zay and some of the boys, like our bodies are hammered.
Yeah, I bet.
Like holding pads for these guys ain't easy. You know what I mean? Like some of the pad work that I do, like him and Horse and some of the other kids,
It's got to really wear on your wrist and
before
on your
lockdown.
fingers,
I couldn't feel anything. I had tennis elbow. I had
Really?
severe tendonitis. I've torn my shoulders
just from holding pads.
just from pad work. At one stage, I was doing 25 sessions a week. So between the fighters and the private PTs that I do, which I've had to cut back on the private PTs.
Yeah, I imagine.
So now I'm trying to focus more on the fighters because that's what I did it for in the first place. It's because I love the game. And, you know, just have to manage my injuries because, again, I've got a full-time job and I've got kids to go home to. So I have to be careful. And there's always a risk. I've been punched in the face, kicked in the head. Lockie's broken my nose once. You know what I mean? Horse has hurt me heaps of times and winded me.
How did you react when he broke your nose?
Oh, look, I was okay. Lockie felt bad.
Yeah,
like, I had to go
Did
to
you
hospital.
punish him? Did you make him plank?
No. It was light movement, but he's got a good reactive kick. So I just happened. Luckily, he had shin pads on. So I just happened to walk over. So he snapped the middle of my nose and pushed my septum, and I just cleaned up the blood. Then finished the class and then went to hospital. So but it was okay. He felt bad, but it was all good. It's not the first time. Second time I broke my nose. So it's but it's one of those things. You know what I mean? And it is what it is. If I didn't like it, I wouldn't do it.
Yeah.
So there's accidents happen. He didn't do it. He didn't put him out. I think he didn't
No.
purposely try to kill me, but
No. There's too many push-ups.
yeah. But it's it was, you know, it is what it is, and your body does take its toll. Like it's hard work. I don't even train anymore because all I do is coach and hold pads. So it's one of those things that I do miss the training element, but for me right now, it's just looking after these guys.
I think that's one of the things that really comes with striking in particular is that the risk is so much higher.
Yeah.
And that's not to say that with wrestling or jiu-jitsu there aren't consequences to that.
Yeah.
But you're not getting like that blunt force straight
Yeah.
forward,
Yeah.
you know?
Especially when you're trained to the caliber, you know, of me and Horse, that when we hit with intent.
Yeah,
Even hitting
they
pads.
hit.
I'm not hitting the pad, just hit the pad.
They're not hitting soft.
Like it's in with intent. Everything's with intent. That's
And
the way we train.
The way I hold pads is intense. Like everything's hard. You go soft, you know about it. It has to be hard. And technically hard, but I bring pace. There's something a little bit different that I bring to
Do you
others.
need to have a good relationship with your fighter in order for the pad work to work?
It can take time, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like I said, my style is very different to most.
How so?
I'm very fast.
Right.
Like very fast style. Like it's hard to explain. I don't put too much up because people would have a look because I don't really want to let them watch what I do with the boys too much. So it's very fast. Like, you know what I mean? Joey Belfort was doing a little bit with me for a while, and it's a different sort of style. So it's fast paced, continuous, very fight simulated. So it's very quick. And if you don't have the gas, you're going to have the gas at some point because I can do hours on end in holding pads. So I'll get people fight fit in that sense. But this is why the other coaches come into play because I can't do everything. Like they'll pick out. So we got coaches that will slow them down and work on the technical elements.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Where my thing is the fast simulated fight based stuff. So I get them conditioned. I get them fight fit. And through the kickboxing and MMA pads. MMA pads is dangerous, man. You know what I mean? When they're on top of you raining elbows and hammer fists, you want to make sure you're holding the pad in the right spot. So it's one of those things. But again, look, they hurt me all the time, but I don't stop. You do what you do. It's one of those things, but I'm a bit crazy in that I sort of enjoy getting hit.
Oh, you have to be to step into the cage in the first place. You have to be cut from a different cloth.
Yeah. Look, I think we're not normal, but it is in a good way. Not. It's one of those things, but it's, you know, like they're lucky. Like I said, they've got other coaches, and Lockie does boxing with Anthony Redwood from the Grange as well. So he's been, you know, focusing and doing more technical based stuff with his striking. So my thing wouldn't work if we didn't have everyone else. If that makes sense. Like you can't learn enough from what I do.
Yeah,
I'll bring the conditioning. I'll get you fight fit. I'll get you fight ready. I'll play with your mental health. Everyone else will work on the technique.
I know you have an affinity towards Israel Adesanya. I've heard you mention before that you like really respect his fight game.
Yeah.
Does he influence at all the way you fight? Because he has a very distinct style. Like Israel Adesanya.
I like his style. It's not my style. I like watching it because I respect, like, you know, how clean he is with his styles, and it's just the way he moves is so interesting. It's just very different.
Yeah, why don't we pull up a clip? Sian, can you just search up Israel Adesanya highlights? Just for anyone who doesn't know, perhaps we can.
But
although
of course,
if you're listening to this podcast,
Rob Whittaker's going to beat him in 3 weeks.
Your money's on Robbie?
Yeah, bro.
Of
course.
Yeah.
It's going to be a good fight.
Yeah.
It's going to be a good fight. But yeah, Israel Adesanya is very much so an entertainer as much as he is a fighter.
Yeah, I respect the fighting aspect. Not so much from the way he carries on.
Right.
You know, that stuff sort of like, he's a showman, of course. You got to do what you got to do, but when you disrespect someone like that, you know, that and another Aussie and a teammate, you could say, that doesn't sit well, you know. But of course, like, credit to his style, it's great to watch.
Yeah.
But
just whatever you like, kid.
I hope Rob absolutely smashes him.
Yeah.
Hey, like Roy Jones said,
It's just like, it's really amazing to see that top level, top notch, you know, for fighting. And credit that my game has gone up so much since seeing that and being around that, and just watching him, you know, is really beneficial for me, because the level that he's at, like that's where I'm gonna be.
Well, he's at
day.
the highest level. That's
You
it.
can't
He's
get
going
any
for
higher
he's
than
going
that.
for the title.
You can't be any higher than that level.
And I think as well, what he's done for Australian MMA and what he's done to really put Australia back in the mix of conversation and really say, oh, like, these Australian fighters can actually do something. It really paves the way, although I don't know if it's necessarily paves the way, but like reinforces for companies like the UFC to go, oh, there are really talented fighters in Australia.
Talented fighters here.
It's since back in the day, like Mark Hunt and Rob Whittaker were the first two. You know what I mean? Like people seem to forget, Rob's been in the UFC since he was 21, since he was Lockie's age.
Jesus Christ.
He's been at top level for 10 years, not MMA, like top level for 10 years. And so when they're moving with that likes, I'm like, man, you're not just moving with anyone.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's very humbling, and we're very grateful that Alex, you know, Prates and they have allowed the boys into the gym and to move with these guys.
It's an honor to be able to move with him, and just the type of dude that he is too, so humble, and the way he holds himself, you know, on that world stage is very, like, I look up to him, of course. The way he holds himself, you know, the way he is with his family, being a family man. You know, doesn't disrespect anyone. There's no need to disrespect anyone. That's his job. That's how he feeds his family.
Yeah,
you know?
he is very respectful and keeps it very much so in the cage. So all the animosity and all the tension kind of just lies in there.
He loves to fight.
And
he
outside
loves
of
to
that,
fight.
he's just a pure fighter.
Yeah.
He's not looking for anything else. He's not looking for fame. He's not looking for a big pay. He just wants to fight.
Yeah.
Mate, I watched Rob in the back on CFC back in the day when I was cornering another fighter hitting pads when he was 18 years old, and I remember saying, and I was told the boys his story, like I was watching him kick pads, and the power he was generating was crazy, and I'm like, oh, this kid's
Can we pull up Rob Whittaker's highlights as well, just to keep it balanced?
People forget he used to fight at welterweight. Funny enough, don't ask me how he got there, but
yeah, Some of these weight cuts that fighters do are just absolutely insane.
Crazy, man. Crazy weight cuts. Yeah.
I mean, Kaleb spoke about it while he was on here. He said that like he used to cut a fair bit of weight and just wasn't able to generate able to perform at the same level as he can now.
Yeah, look, both Horse and Lockie.
That first one there's fine,
Almost identical, the numbers.
His first fight.
For Eternal wanted him at 70 kilos, but we said no, he can't make 70 kilos. It's too much for him, and we're gonna lose all the gains that we've had with Horse. And Lockie, he's perfect weight for welter.
Yeah, perfect. Yeah,
perfect weight, and that's one thing.
And a good frame for it as well.
Yeah,
very good frame for it.
He's grown over the last couple of years, and he's still growing. So there's a good possibility he could move up to middleweight down the track. So we don't know.
Yeah.
So we'll see what
We'll
happens.
see how my body,
I don't know if you've seen the size of his legs, but he's got massive legs.
My body adapts over the next couple of years and grow. I'm only just turning 22 in a couple of days, so.
Oh, when's your birthday?
On Monday, the 24th.
Oh, happy birthday for that.
Thanks, bro.
It's going to be awesome. You got celebrations lined up?
No, we're training for a fight. That's the sacrifice you got to make. So it's just, you got to work around it. Of course, we'll have a party and invite the boys over, have some drinks and whatnot.
After you win.
But there's just a time and a place for that, But yeah.
Yeah. So you do have the fight coming up.
Yes. Yeah.
You're fighting for an Eternal. I've forgotten your opponent's name. Khan. Yeah.
Yeah, Khan. He's fought twice for Eternal. I believe this is his third fight as a pro. So
have you had much
0-2.
opportunity to watch tape of him?
Moey sort of takes care of a lot of that stuff. I trust him in his judgment and whatnot, and he adjusts the training for that. So
Moey, what are your thoughts on Khan?
He's good. Look, anyone at pro level is going to be good.
Of course.
We don't downplay anyone and we don't underestimate anyone. But that's what I do with the boys. I said we train like we're training for a belt every fight. So it doesn't matter regardless of who's in front of us. But Khan's got an extensive striking background. So he's got a Thai boxing background. So he's good in that sense. But,
sorry, just bring this a little bit closer to
extensive striking Thai boxing background. But it's MMA. So it's very different. It's not kickboxing. It's not Thai boxing. It's MMA. And Lockie's got, obviously his striking is really good as well. So, look, it'll be okay. We've got our game plan going into it, and we'll see how it goes. But we haven't changed up too much. To tell you the truth, we're doing everything pretty much similar.
No, we do our thing.
I think because you're fighting someone that is it's such a similar style to you, I guess, in that sense, in that you're both strikers and you both probably like to be on your feet. Yeah. Although that's not the only thing that you do, of course.
No, I'm dangerous anyway.
Exactly. Yeah. I think it does make for a really good matchup, though.
Of course, yeah.
Fans can expect like a really good.
Oh, the fans can expect fireworks. That's for sure. Do not blink. Do not turn away, because all it takes is 1 second. And now when I react and when I hit with intent. And I want to finish. I want to finish him in a violent way. I want to make him hurt. I want to hurt him in there. I'm not in there just to muck around and move around and stuff. I want to hurt him, intentionally.
I believe you.
Yeah. That's my fighting style. Is I want to hurt them violently and put some hurt on them.
I know you're very dead shot.
Yeah.
I know you're very deep into visualization, and you've spoken before that you visualize getting the vaso on your face, your hands wrapped.
Yeah, everything's
when you visualize stepping into that cage and hearing that bell go for the first time, what do you see?
You just see. I don't really worry too much about the other person. I worry more about my own feelings. Just being in control of my emotions. And employ my game plan that we train for. Everything, all the lead up, all the prep work's done. That's once the door closes, everything's done, and you have fun. That's when it's time to have fun. That's why we train so hard and all the sessions, and all the bruises and blood and pain and you go through. Waking up with sore muscles and stuff. That's what it all comes down to. Yeah. Once that door closes,
just for those few rounds.
That's when I'm free and I can do whatever I want to him. That's the biggest thing.
So you don't have like one specific, like you're going to get him with a check hook or
no, I don't really believe in that. That going for stuff. because I'm so reactive in my movement and because I'm so dangerous everywhere the fight goes, there's no point limiting myself on that.
Interesting.
Yeah, why limit myself when I could finish the fight however I want, in violent manner.
In a violent manner.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah, that's what I want. I want those big fights, big finishes of putting some hurt, get some blood going, get some blood flowing in there. That's what the fans want to see. That's what people pay their money to see. That's why I train. That's what I visualize. I love those fights, man. I love that shit.
Yeah. Yeah. Especially when you've got two, like, strikers in particular. Like, I remember, was it Francis Ngannou and I think it was with Stipe, or maybe it was with Derek Lewis. I can't remember exactly, but there was this huge expectation on one of Francis's fight in that it was going to be, a striking masterclass, and fans were really excited for it.
Yeah.
And when both fighters were kind of just cruising there, waiting for the other person to go, it just really, from a fan's perspective, it really undercuts the whole thing. So when you've got fighters there that are really looking for blood and really smelling it, and like just the way you're talking to me about it just then, like it was almost like a shark that just smelt blood.
Yeah.
You were just like ready for it.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, of course he would be the same as well. He's with his extensive fight background, he loves to fight.
Yeah.
Obviously, so he's going to come thinking he's going to do the same to me, and that's fine. Believe that all you want, but when you wake up, like, for me knocking you out, you're like, oh shit, this dude's for real. Like, that's what I plan to do.
So if I'm Khan right now, what do you want to say to me?
Train hard, man. Train hard, bro. Give it 110%, because when you're locked in that cage with me, it's a different ball game. Like, it's different. You've fought a lot of fights, but it's different. It's very, very different once you're in there with me. Very different. And people might say that. Heaps of fighters might say that, about themselves, but look at my record. Look at the way I finish my fights. It speaks for itself, and we'll continue to employ the same plan that we've been doing and finish fights, and work our way to that top is where I'm going to be.
Damn. You've sold me.
Of course.
You've sold me, that's for sure.
Yeah.
On that Francis Ngannou note,
Yep.
bit of a different question here, but he's got the fight tomorrow against Cyril, that's right. And they used to be at the same gym together. I don't know if it was concurrently at the same time, but I do know that they were from the same gym.
Yeah.
In a hypothetical world, of course, could you ever see a Lockie Kaleb matchup? So you'll see.
We're too close.
No.
Yeah.
We've been through too much stuff that can't be said.
Man,
so
there's Lockie Kaleb matchups almost every week. So.
Yeah. Yeah.
But let's say the UFC puts a nice hefty bag. No?
Couldn't do it. No way. He's like my brother, man.
I respect that.
There's not a price you can put on that loyalty. We're brothers, man.
I respect it.
Wherever our careers go, wherever we may end up or whatever, but there's no way. We've been through too much together, man. Yeah. Too much together.
Unlike other boys, they've literally been their main training partners for each other over the last 3 or 4 years. So their sparring sessions are interesting to watch because they cancel each other out.
Really?
Yeah, because they know each other very well.
Yeah.
So it just won't happen. They're very unique, both of them. So that's why when we do spar, we need to bring bodies in or need to take them somewhere else. They can't spar each other anymore. There's no benefit in that sense. Like they pretty much has to become a war amongst them, which we don't want. So you know what I mean. They need to learn or need other bodies for them, which is we're finding difficult at the moment as well. But you do what you can. But we modify training to suit. So we'll do what we do.
Yeah. I respect that. I respect that brotherhood aspect to it because if you guys hopefully can both come up together,
which would be awesome to share that with him.
Yeah,
and
knowing that you both came from the same origins.
Of course. With the whole Cyril and Francis thing, I don't know what the go is there.
They were talking about
Overseas-
one sparring session.
Overseas and stuff like that's different. Like overseas and stuff, you might train at this place for 6 weeks. You might go here for an 8-week camp. We might come here for a camp and stuff. They move around so much, but because Triple X is our home, you couldn't do that. There's just a respect aspect. I don't know if that's an Australian thing or if that's just like, our thing, but you
Well, I
couldn't
know
do
that for a fact for a period of time that Francis was moving between France and the US, because he was still based in that gym there, but wanted to fight in the UFC Performance Center, of course.
Yeah.
So there was a lot of that going on, which I can't imagine would have been good for the relationships anyways.
Yeah.
Regardless, it makes for an awesome narrative.
Oh, I'm keen for it.
It's going to be a
100%.
great fight.
Who isn't keen for a heavyweight fight? In
Especially
MMA
Francis Ngannou, that animal.
Look, it's if it goes outside the first round into the second, third, I think Cyril will get it. But
Really?
I think if Francis is going to beat him, he's going to beat him in the first.
You don't think Francis has the gas?
Not in the later rounds. His power is ridiculous in the first round. I was talking to someone today. What was he saying? It was your manager. Something like you were talking about the force behind his hits. It was something stupid.
it's ridiculous, man.
I think what he was just saying, 90 horsepower or something along those
Holy
lines.
fuck.
That's how many hits,
There was something dumb like that. So you get tagged by him, you're going to know about it. So
that's just like getting smacked in the face with a baseball bat, pretty much point blank. So that's what that would feel like, and to hold that power for him to be able to generate that, and still move good. He doesn't just hit hard; he moves. He
You know
moves
what
well
that
as well.
is? That is years and years of working on the sand mines, man.
Oh, of course.
I think it was like 7 years old or something.
Bro, the hardship he's went through in his
100%.
life, man. We would never understand how they grew up and stuff.
When we've done this, Stipe almost took his head off his
We're
shoulders.
so lucky in Australia to have the life that we have in Australia here, man. They what they go through on a day-to-day, life is unreal.
Yeah, I mean, it's such a catch-22, right? Because you don't want anyone to go through the life that he's had to live, escaping one country and then going across all of Africa to possibly get the chance of rowing a boat. Like, not even a boat, let's call it like what it really is. It's practically just pieces of metal stuck together across an ocean to hopefully get into Spain.
Yeah.
And that whole process is years and painful. And you don't want anyone to go through that ever.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It's absolutely horrible. But I don't know if you get a Francis Ngannou if he doesn't go through that.
Yeah,
I don't know if you get someone as good as
you need
him,
to go through the
as
hard
committed
times,
as him, as he had to be so laser focused on this pipe dream that was practically
he was
impossible.
just trying to survive, man. Like, he's just legit. He was trying to survive day-to-day life.
And there was no one around him that was making it in the UFC. There's no one to look up to. At least
He was sleeping on the streets, man.
Yeah, in your circumstance, you've got people like Rob Whittaker around you, and you've got people like Kaleb who's on a similar journey to you, and you've got a community, and you've got awesome coaches and a whole academy committed to this dream of yours.
Very, very lucky to have that around me. Very lucky.
But to do it in the way and the manner that he did, and then to end up in the position that he's
unreal.
in right now.
And credit to him too. It's not easy.
Look, I'm a big believer that, I've got, without struggle, there is no progress. So you need, unfortunately, you've got to go through some of these hardships, and they do make you the person that you end up becoming. You learn if you learn from them. There's always lessons to be learned out of everything that happens in life. You just got to figure it out what that lesson was from that in that moment, from whatever it was that went down.
Yeah. There's always someone worse off than you. That's how I feel.
And look, you can't take things for granted, but even then, everyone's different. So, and this is around the mentality and the mental health side of it. Yeah. What may affect Lachie may not affect Kaleb, and this is where I think as coaches, we'll sense and we'll see that. There could be things that get to Lachie, that don't get to Kaleb, and vice versa. So, and then we need to sort of talk them through that. But as long as they're honest with us, otherwise sometimes it's hard to see. But there are different elements. Lots of people ask us why we are the way we are, and it's hard to pinpoint one thing. There's lots of different
There's
things.
so many moving parts,
and that's what I mean. It's humbling that you get messages and calls and. Not just myself, but the other coaches of fighters who want to come over and either train with the boys or do pads with me or do something with one of the other guys. It's like, it's hard because you're like, it's hard to explain to them. It's not just one thing. Do you know what I mean? Like doing a couple of sessions with me is not going to make you like these guys.
No.
You know, and this has been years in the making, plus everything else that everyone else has been putting in. So there's all different elements to it.
So there's obviously very much so a long-term vision for you when Lockie stepped into your gym and you kind of saw that the potential was there.
Yeah.
Based on where he's sitting right now, where is that long-term vision for you and then from you?
Oh, look, he's on path to where we want him to be. That obviously COVID and some of the setbacks that we did have over the last couple of years, but our intent this year is to get 3 pro fights for Locke. And you know, he's still growing. Like I said, he's only turning 22. So, you know, for us, the next sort of 2, for me particularly, and other boys would probably say agree, in the next 2 to 3 years is about getting that pro experience under his belt. Hopefully through the Eternal scene, whether we get up to, you know, 9-10 fights over that period. And then at that stage, we sort of start knocking on the UFC's door. Horse probably the same, but a little bit sooner because he's a little bit more progressed with his fight career. So he's probably 2 or 3 years ahead of Deadshot at the moment. So with Horse, we're looking at, you know, after his 3 fights, hopefully with Eternal, and he does as well as we think he's going to do, we could be probably, you know, knocking on some big doors sometime next year for him as well. So yeah, both of them are at different stages right now. Like I said, it's because Kaleb's 3 years older than Lockie, so he had a little bit of a head start.
And having that, if you will, using Kaleb almost as a test dummy to see, you can learn from him and the stages in his career. Not to say that he's not being successful and he's not doing amazingly, but I know, for example, I spoke to Suman a couple weeks ago, and he said to me very specifically that having his brother go through that UFC route before him really opened his eyes to, you know, some of the errors that can 100%. Be made, and he knew what to expect. So I think that's such an advantage if both of you can get into the UFC together.
Yeah.
Well, training wise, I think that's what's benefited Lockie, because we've sort of experienced all that stuff with Horse, and some of the things that may not have worked, we've been able to sort of fine tune or fix that when it comes to Lockie, and not just Lockie, the next generation that we got coming through the gym. Because we got 14, 15, 16-year-olds that hold their own against these guys. So
isn't that crazy?
Like it's scary. That's what I mean. Like you see these boys and they're 6 foot tall, 6'2", you know what I mean? And they're holding. He sparred.
What are you guys feeding him over there? I need some of that.
2 of the boys he was sparring today were 16-year-old boys. Yeah, you know what I mean.
And they're putting in good work too.
And they put it in. They're not pushovers. One happens to be my son, and another one is a young, you know, Flynn, who's undefeated boxer. He's undefeated MMA.
Kaleb mentioned Flynn last time as well.
Flynn.
So we've got some young, ridiculously young talent, good young talent coming through that gym.
Aiden Lewis.
We'll do this one at a time. Can we pull up Flynn's Instagram first? Do you guys know it by heart or?
Yeah, if you go to my page, we can just there should be photos there of the boys.
Yep. So go down.
Keep going. Find one where it's just all of them.
Yeah, that's probably a good move. Be here for 20 minutes. You've got too much talent.
Yeah. Keep going. Where are they? I think I've got one somewhere there.
It would be from his fight.
While we do that,
there, up.
Actually, no, there's that one there.
Yeah,
go down.
Go up one.
I think it's the same one that Kaleb might have looked at with you.
On the right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, that one I think has got most of them in it.
Yes, I remember this
that
photo.
one. So that's the same one that Horse was talking
these
about.
Kids are like 16.
So
That's
we'll start from the far. So that's which
Far,
one?
this way.
We're going. That's what.
Okay, so if you're watching this at home, we're going from left to right now.
Yeah, so where's your thing? So that's Blair. So that's the young fella I told you. So Blair's only 15 and he's got 20 fights under his belt already. So ridiculously good young talent.
Does he do homework? Does he go to school?
Yeah, look, he does, but he's had extensive boxing, his Thai boxing background, but we're at the moment we're in the process of transitioning Blair to MMA as well.
Right.
So he's had 20 fights. The guy next to him, young Liam, is his little brother.
That's my little brother, actually.
Really?
Yeah, he's 17. Yeah.
The scary thing about Liam is that he moves just like this guy.
Yeah. Very
just
same.
Just like this guy, hits hard. He's
UFC
actually
ambitions as well.
He's actually
UFC ambitions.
Yeah. He's actually followed the same footsteps in that he's doing electrical apprenticeship.
He's
at the moment as well, but no, he's a beast, man. If he sticks to it,
he's heavier than his brother too. He's a big boy. The one in the middle is the one we're talking about. So Aiden. So Aiden's just turned 18, so we can finally get him in the cage.
Nice.
The scary thing about him, he's only going to fight at about 56 to 58 kilos. And he's a freak of nature, this kid. So because we don't have many light guys at the gym, so he's always moving with big, strong boys. Karate, sort of competitive background. He's got very good striking, and his jiu-jitsu wrestling is coming a long way. So, but naturally, I'm a really good striker. The one next is Flynn.
That's who we were talking about earlier.
Yeah, he's the one we're talking again. He's only 16, and he's got a big career. He's boxing. He's done a lot of boxing. He's done stuff with Anthony Redwood as well, and he took out a New South Wales state title with little training. So it's what I mean? He's a southpaw, so he's a very good southpaw.
I'm a southpaw as well. There you go.
Very good southpaw. And then Ninja Boy Adam Kumar, the one at the end there. This kid's a freak of nature. Like the way I hold pads with him.
What did you call him? Ninja Boy.
Ninja Boy is his nickname. Yeah.
Why is he Ninja Boy?
Because he does some hectic spinning kicks, and he'll bounce off the wall and kick over your head. Like, so when I'm holding pads for Adam, I got to gear up completely from head to toe. So I got everything covered because I don't know what's coming.
Right.
I literally don't know what's coming with this kid. But we've worked a good style together now, so it's very explosive. But he's got a fight coming up on Beast in March as well. So he's fighting up there too. And he's only 15 as well. And he's competed internationally. He's won high-level jiu-jitsu comps and everything.
Christ.
So
did you say 15?
He's only 15. If you go back as well, I think
I sucked when I was 15. That is crazy.
No, that's what I'm saying. So if you go back again, scroll, go back up a bit. I think, keep going up. Where's the other one?
Just while we look for that, quickly.
That one there in the middle. That one. So that's my son.
Ah, I see. What's his name?
Zach. So this was his first comp. So he was 15 when he competed here. This was mid last year. He's 16 now, so he'd never competed before. But Zach's been in the game with me since he was 6 years old. So when I ran my own gym, so he's a strong wrestler. He's focused more on rugby league at the moment. I'd like him to compete and fight. Whether my wife agrees with me is another story. But, he actually competed in Canberra, didn't tell his mother, and then I got a very abusive phone call after he won this gold. And it was one of these things. But he went up there and he competed against kids that are very
just
competitive.
out of curiosity, how did you sneak him off to Canberra?
Well, we took a whole team. So she thought he was just coming up to watch with me, but he was always going up there to compete. So she sort of didn't know. But he killed it. He
paid the dividends. He got gold.
Yeah, well, look, he moves, and he's actually bigger than that now. He was 71 kilos. He's 80 kilos now. So he put on 9 kilos during the lockdown after that.
Jesus.
But yeah, so we got some talent coming through there, and there's lots of that photo above, just a group of them on the. If you go one down, this one here, I think that was from Canberra.
Yeah, that's the crew that we took.
That was the crew that we took down in Canberra. So we've got lots of talent there as well. So like I said, there's plenty of boys coming through and girls with young Piper there as well. So yeah, there's heaps happening. But the next generation, and look, they feed off these guys. They feed off
course. That's kind of where I was leading to that because now as much as you might utilize Kaleb as a role model, you're also serving as a role model to so many.
Yeah, that's why we have to hold ourselves in a way, because they look up to us so much. We've got to set an example, the right example, for them.
You're almost like a big brother to all those kids. That's crazy.
No, of course. I know they will look up to me, especially even my little brother. But we're not only representing the gym; you're representing everyone who trains at the gym. Mm-hmm. There's a certain, you got to uphold the gym's values.
There's a standard.
There's a standard that you got to hold yourself to, and that's just our gym culture. We don't change. We don't change because we go out and we go to a fight show. We don't change. That's us. We're just us all the time. You'll see if you come down to the gym, you won't last if you don't you know, if you have this big ego or I'm the man or you don't last. You
And a
don't
lot of
last.
gyms have that problem.
Yeah,
I've
massive problem.
been around
Massive
a couple of
problem.
gyms and you can tell like when someone's
Just ego driven, yeah.
Yeah, you won't last. We've had a few come through, but they don't last very long. And there's, you know, it's just it's not that space. Like, and I'm not to all these guys. Like, I run my Monday night class. I've literally got 12-year-olds to professional fighters in that group, and I like it like that purposely. So these guys don't avoid classes. Like Kaleb and Lockie are good, but they're not going to not come to a class because they think they're too good for the class. Did that make sense?
And I think the further you progress into your career and the higher peaks you hit, that kind of foundation is going to be so much more important in keeping you grounded and keeping you level-headed.
That's what me and Kaleb just get mainly out of that class is we just sort of help out. We're not there to train, you know.
Yeah,
like
you're not going to beat up a 12-year-old.
Yeah, we're not there to
Caleb
train. Yeah, Caleb
course he does. He's a
loves that
crazy
stuff.
horse.
Caleb loves that stuff.
Caleb doesn't give a shit.
He loves that stuff, man.
He's like, give him this, man.
He can't wait. That's his favorite class of the whole week.
Oh, he loves beating up the kids in my class. Don't get me wrong. Sorry,
Shout out
guys.
Kaleb Rideout. Fucking hell.
Yeah, bully. Triple X bully.
Nah, he's a crack up horse. He's a good bloke, but look, but he does year on a mind. And the guys come to that class because it's not just it's motivating for them because they move with the caliber of these guys. So and it improves their game.
Yeah, of course.
As well. But yeah, Caleb's a bit crazy with him sometimes.
Yeah, but it's
Hence
good
the
to
name.
sort of give back in a way and help them. Like we enjoy that. We love that.
Yeah.
The
being
day
able
you
to help
think you're
people.
too good for the gym, I'll stop coaching.
Yeah.
You, the person, individual. Like if you think you're outgrowing a place or you're too good for everyone, then I'm not the right coach for you. And that's just how my mentality is. But luckily, no, we haven't had that issue. So
No.
everyone's pretty humble. And you see it at top gyms with Rob's gym at Gracie and down at Wollongong with Alex's gym. You know, they finish, they clean up.
Yeah.
They do everything like everyone else.
I see it all the time.
They
when
don't
you train,
grab their stuff, have a shower, and go home.
And it's instilling those values in kids that become so important for them because growing up in that environment it makes them so much more likely to hold that. It's not a guarantee, but you got to think about the kinds of kids that might get involved in a fight gym in the first place. Much like yourself, kids getting in trouble at school.
Yeah,
and if they
like
don't
that.
have that outlet, if they don't have that avenue to really express themselves physically, they could end up in a lot of trouble. So, the fact that they've got a safe environment in which they can express that energy or that, testosterone driven
that's what it's there for,
that we were talking about before. And then the fact that out of that, they're actually getting core values and principles and discipline.
Yeah. They're not there. A lot of people don't train to fight. They don't have to train to fight. They just do it. They enjoy it. Like how you started, just an outlet.
Exactly.
That's how I started, That's how a lot of people start. They use it as an outlet.
Yeah, you just got to be. If you've got the right environment and the right people around you, you channel it. You channel it the right way. You know what I mean? So you can come in with a little bit of stuff happening on the outside, but you got to remember we're in a gym. We're in a controlled environment, so you can't bring that anger in with you and take it out on someone else.
Exactly.
So this is where
door.
us as coaches and even the boys will sense that if that happens, and we'll pull them back or have a conversation. So. Which, especially when they're young, they got to learn how to control that. But then we'll get them to that point. And a lot of people do it. But that's why there's an outlet, but then there's having an outlet and using it the right way.
Beautiful. All right, guys, I'm good to wrap this thing up. Why don't we let the people know where to find you, where they can find your fights, and if they want to come down and train perhaps as well?
Of course. Yeah. Just Deadshot MMA on Instagram. Lachlan Stitt MMA on Facebook. Like, share. Jump on board.
That's
it's always
Stitt
good.
with double T, right?
Stitt with a double T, yeah.
Yep.
I always post stuff up of what I'm doing and whatnot. So if you want to stay in the loop of what I'm doing with my fighting career, outside my fighting career, it's all up there. I'm not hiding anything, put it all up there. Moey, what's your Coach Moey? XXX, bring that one up.
Yeah, Coach Moey, XXX. If you just want to follow the journey of the boys that we're coaching, and then XXX Fight Academy as well, if you want to follow the gym.
Yeah, follow the gym.
if, more than welcome to come down to XXX Fight Academy. You know what I mean? It's a good place, a good gym. It's a big facility. We got downstairs, upstairs, and
safe environment.
so if you're interested,
It is a very high-end facility. I remember
very
seeing
high-end.
it in the documentary, and I was like, oh wow,
Yeah.
like, this is a-
very, very good setup. Look, we've got lots of members there and lots of people. If they want to come through, then come through. You can DM myself or Lockie, and we'll let you know the details and where we're at and where the classes are. And if you're keen, then or check out the XXX Fight Academy page. And
Come down. We're always looking for
doesn't have to
new
be the
people.
fight, even if you just want to come and train or be around.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, come say
Kaleb,
hi.
so-
Even just come down and have a chat or something. You
Come
know,
and see us. We
have a
won't
chat,
bite.
see what we're all about. Just a shout out on the sponsors.
Go for it.
Big shout out, Rip Nutrition. Big shout out there. He helps me out with all my nutritional stuff. Goat Sports Gear, Rhino Mouth Guards. Who else we got? MacArthur United Real Estate. Big Jakey. Big shout out to Big Jakey at MacArthur United. Massive sponsor. He's jumped on board this year. Awesome dude. XXX obviously. Jump on board there. Like, follow, share. Who else is there? All the coaches. Big shout out to the coaches. Nathan Reddy, Anthony Redwood, Zane Saliba, all the boys. Scro, my Muay Thai coach Scro, Moey coming down. Just thank you for all that they do, all the sacrifices that they make, take time away from their family, stuff like that, which is very important. Shout out to my girlfriend for putting up with me. who's outside.
She's sitting outside.
She's outside. So. But I couldn't do the stuff I do without the people around me. No way. There's no way.
Awesome.
Very grateful.
And just on a personal note, big shout out to Phoenix Management for making this happen.
Yes.
Phoenix man.
They've done.
He's the man.
Yes, 100%.
He is the man. Bass has jumped on board with most of us and just really clicked with our whole team.
Yeah, Bass is great. We actually had lunch with him before we came down here
Oh,
today.
yeah.
So he was with us
Awesome.
this morning for sparring, and then we had lunch with Bass before. Really good management team. Deals, supports the boys really well, and then he's going to start looking after. So hopefully some of our younger guys as well.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Well, thank you very much for coming out and taking the time. I know you've
Not a problem.
both got very busy schedules, fights coming up. Your fight is on February 26th.
Yep.
26th. Where can we watch that?
UFC Fight Pass.
Mm-hmm.
It'll be on UFC Fight Pass for Eternal. So look it up for times and dates, as it's in Western Australia. Australian Eastern Standard Time will be different. So make sure you tune in.
All right, beautiful. And I will leave the link in the description down below. I've had a long day.
Yeah.
The link will be in the description down below. Thank you very much, guys, for watching. And that is it.